Welcome to Autographers Anonymous, a place where we discuss our addiction to the greatest hobby in the world. Let's go around the room.
What's up, guys? It's Mike. Sorry. May or may not be wearing pants.
Hey, how about we start this over again? And all
There we go.
On the podcast.
I was getting the chat going.
Preprints live
on YouTube. You get these little outtakes at the beginning if they happen. All right, here we go. Welcome to Autographers Anonymous, a place where we discuss our addiction to the greatest hobby in the world. Let's go around the room. What's
up, guys? It's Mike from the Autograph Network, aka the Godfather, and I may or may not be wearing pants.
Your mic may or may not be working. You're cutting that in and out kind of bad. I mean, I hear you, but like it's kind of cutting out. Congratulations, those watching live. You get to see some technical difficulties here. These will be cut out of the iTunes. Go ahead and
let's
say some
stuff.
This?
Mike, we'll testing.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah, you're roboting out. You are roboting out, my friend.
Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, we cleared up a little bit. A million times better.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to turn my VPN off, actually. 1 sec.
It was all Troy's fault.
No, I'm here for once. I messed everything up.
Hey, what's going on, Blake? If you guys are first-time watchers, this usually doesn't happen at the beginning of the show, but it's not a big deal if it does because we adjust and cut this part out of the actual podcast. So technical difficulties happen.
There we go.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's try this again.
All right.
Welcome to Autographers Anonymous, a place where we discuss our addiction to the greatest hobby in the world. Let's go around the room.
What's up, guys? It's Mike from the Autograph Network, aka the Godfather, and I may or may not be wearing pants.
This is Chase from Chasing Ink, and don't judge a signed book by its book plate.
Hey, it's Troy, a.k.a. TTM Troy, and I love the smell of Sharpies in the morning.
Hey, I'm Ben. I don't got a cool nickname, and I was not selected into the 2019 NBA draft.
That you know of. You can still make the G League, bro. And my name is Zane Savage, and swag is coming. So be prepared for that. And Mike put on some pants. Troy, stop getting high before the shows. All right, let's start off with our returns for the last 2 weeks. Let's start off with Mikey Bowie.
All right, guys. Had a pretty good week with TTMs, and I got some purchases. So we'll go into the purchases first. My buddy Stacy Schaefer, formerly of Autographers Anonymous. Where are you, Stacy? Bought some stuff from him. Got the John Legend 4x6. Jason Momoa. Game of Thrones. Aquaman. Some wrestling stuff that I needed. I missed out on Mia Yim, who was at NXT. She was Jade in Impact Wrestling. Newly U.S. champion, Ricochet. He's going to be stood. Got the Dolph Lundgren, Ivan Drago from Rocky. I missed out on him the first time. I'm resending, but got the Tony Dorsett with the Heisman Trophy inscription. And Chubby Checker, musical legend. So that's what I got from Stacy. Couple eBay purchases. I bought a lot of football autographs.
Just so you guys know, he is still alive. Stacy is still alive, so don't worry about
it. Deuce McAllister on an Old Miss photo. Hall of Famer Sam Jones, longtime Steeler.
Fake. I'm kidding.
Fake. Jerome Bettis, the bus, another Steeler.
See,
Hall of
that's
Famer.
got the official NFL logo on it. That means it's real. So basically, it's
Different lots. Basketball, Bob Cousy. Pen kind of faded on that one, but still cool. Frank Howard with the 1960 NL rookie inscription. Nice looking photo. Fergie Jenkins, longtime Cub, Hall of Famer. Beautiful signature still. Kenny Houston, Football Hall of Famer.
Nice.
John Henry Johnson, Football Hall of Famer. And here's the big one. You guys brace yourselves. Not Jose Canseco. Twin brother Ozzie Canseco.
Jose Steiner.
So yeah, I'm gonna say, did we ever do that to see if that was real or not? Did he actually sit in at autograph signings?
And he did.
Stuff? Wow.
Yeah.
Ozzie is Jose's twin brother, and he did sit in for signings for Jose when Jose was big.
Terrible.
Yeah, terrible. I did buy this. This was part of the lot, and I will probably get this authenticated just because you can't see it. It's written in pen, but this is Smoking Joe Frazier. So if this comes back authentic, I didn't pay much for the lot, but if this comes back authentic, it will triple my money for what I paid for the lot. It's very hard to see. It's black, written in blue ballpoint pen. So worth a shot for the money I paid. Now on to the TTMs. Had a good week. I'll show this one. I wrote to the guy who replaced Carol Spinney, who is Big Bird. Didn't get my photos back. Got a nice form letter from Big Bird himself. But I did get this. Nice 8x10 signed by Grover, Murray, Cookie Monster, and Bert. Not Bert and Ernie, just Bert. So very
So
cool.
is that signed preprint?
not a preprint. Yeah, you can flip that on the bay for like $100, man.
Sure. All right. So got some 4x6 photos. Ron Jones. If you guys have followed me on YouTube, you guys know I've collected pretty much everyone that I can associated with the Kennedy assassination. He was one of the doctors in the ER. There's Trauma 1 where they took Kennedy at Parkland Hospital. So I got my first day cover, got the Parkland Hospital, and then the overview of Dealey Plaza. So starting to wind down on that because most people I've gotten, or at this point, they're not around anymore because that happened in 1963. Robbie Draymond, voice actor. If you guys have watched Star Wars, he voiced the 8th brother. There's a better shot with the Inquisitors. And he also voiced Spidey in the Spider-Man universe cartoon movie. And let's see. If you guys remember, I got 5 8x10s from Boss Rutan, the MMA fighter. I didn't get my 4x6 photos back in that envelope. And then a week later, I got my 4x6 photos from Boss Rutan. So he ended up signing all 3. So nice class act for UFC Hall of Famer. I was surprised this one came back. This was out a long time. I would kind of consider him a Hollywood legend, but this is Robert Wagner.
Controversial
And
too.
signed.
Yeah.
Signed a couple old photos, but most of you young kids will remember him as number 2 from Austin Powers. Who does number 2 work for? So got him. Hockey Hall of Famer Martin St. Louis. Played for my Tampa Bay Lightnings. They retired his number.
Michael, your video
ended up
has gone
signing
out, my friend.
I can still see me.
We
I'm
cannot
down there in the thumbnail.
We cannot see you. Oh, okay, you're back.
All right.
You're good now.
Okay, now I'm back. Martin St. Louis. They won a Stanley Cup with Tampa Bay. Got the Stanley Cup photo, which is great, and played for the Rangers. So he signed 3, which is a little surprising because he normally signs 1 or 2. Did get voice actor and signed on the back. This is Elliott Field. He was one of the voices in the Flintstones, and as most old people do, signed the back of my photo. No big deal.
Which voice, Mikey? Huh? Which voice did he? Such a big fan of him that you wrote to him, huh?
Mr. Bedrock.
Okay, good job.
Right there. He also Snooper and Blabber. He was a voice in there. They did sign that one on the front, so did send a nice, did send a nice note too. He's got to be way up there in age. I always like when this happens. Got a note from umpire Dale Scott, who is retired. But I sent him, must have sent 4 photos. Usually I don't send 4, but I sent this one. This is him and Sparky Anderson. And he wrote a nice note here, said, can I get a copy of that photo? This was my first manager ejection on June 15th, 1986 in Toronto. So I will gladly fill that request. I always do that if people write for their photos. Not a problem. Cookie Rojas, former Major League player, played for the Royals and the Phillies. So pretty cool return. He's getting up there in age. Got a couple astronauts in. Again, send the space shuttle photo because I think space shuttle is such a cool looking shot. Troy went to space camp, by the way.
I did. As an adult.
Yep. This is Tony England, by the way. And he was a backup to the Apollo astronauts and then later for the Skylab,
Very
I
cool.
believe.
Yeah.
So he's been in the NASA program for a long time. Last one I'm going to talk about. Oh, actually, I got one before I get to that one. Paul Warfield is like a football Hall of Famer. He actually signed 2, which is surprising because I did get a very long note that said, handwritten.
Love it.
That he is, he's no longer going to be signing. He's under contract. Didn't say who he's with the contract with, but he is unable and unwilling to sign anything else through the mail. So I shared that with the TTM groups. He's just not going to sign anymore. So I don't know if he's just cranky or if he actually did sign with somebody, but I did get 2 from him.
Dear person I signed for, I'm not going to sign any more stuff, but I'm going to write this letter that's going to take 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. That's a full page and sign down at the bottom.
Wow.
So,
I have one of those from Chuck Bednarik.
I will not sign your stuff, but I'll sign this letter.
Yep.
I did get a nice letter back today, actually, from one of the astronauts, Ed Gibson. So I sent the portrait, a couple cool space shots. There he is doing a spacewalk. Astronauts have some of the coolest photos. He was actually part of Skylab. So there it is, orbiting the Earth.
Yeah, he's got a really cool limited edition book. He wrote a book, and if you get the signed limited edition, it's got like Sally Ride and like 4 moonwalkers signed in there. It's really nice. So that's how I know him.
Cool.
Sold that thing.
Yeah, he actually wrote a nice letter too and said he'd be willing to sign some stuff.
Ask him for his limited edition book.
Autographs for Akira. So I'll take advantage of that and send some stuff to him. Last one I want to show here. I want to say thank you to Caleb from Caleb Cards on YouTube. He wrote to him. His name is Robert Johnson. And the reason I wanted to send to him is because I saw this photo, didn't know much about it. Then I started doing some research. He's a retired U.S. Navy vet and did, I think, 3 expeditions to the South Pole back in the 30s. And this was just a cool shot. They call this little guy here Polar Pete. And I thought it was such a cool photo. And, when I started doing more research, it was a great story. There they are putting the flag down in the South Pole. And this was late 30s, early 40s. That's the ship they sailed down, one of the old wooden ones. So just a cool piece of history. But I got a nice 2-page note from his wife. He is 99 years old, and they said they probably are done signing because they did get about 10 requests, and he's tired, not in the best of health. But they did send some 8x10s to me. So the same shot with Puller Pete, and they labeled them on the back. Cool shot here. The ship with the sled dogs. Ship there. What they took down. One of the expeditions, another one there that he signed. He signed all of them in a nice letter, so I'll definitely write back to his wife and thank her for doing stuff like that, because that's something I do too. If I get a return, some of the greatest returns I've ever gotten are from non-celebrities. They take the time, they care that somebody wrote to them. If you guys ever get something like that, just take a time to send a quick note just to say thank you. I think it means the world to them too. So that's about it for this week. Kick it over to Troy Boy.
Sure. Got a few purchases for the 91 Don Russ set. I'm kind of running out of people to write to for that. So I'm about not even halfway there and starting to buy some. So I got Dave Rode or Rhodey. Sorry. John will tell me how to pronounce it, right? He's in there. Mark Davis. Hey, John. Bob Kipper.
It's actually Kuiper.
No, that's the other guy.
I was joking. It's not Kuiper.
I actually did a Kuiper before. So. Pat Borders, that's the easy one. And this one was the most expensive one. I think it was $12. The Cecil Fielder MVP card. So there was no way I was going to get that.
So all you forgers out there, if you want to make some money, you buy that set.
I don't
forge a whole set and put it on eBay.
I'm actually kind of worried about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
the looks good. I got him at IP, so it looks good.
So as far as TTMs, you probably saw on Instagram, it was a good couple of weeks. This was a few weeks worth here, but let me just pick some out. I'm sure Chase probably has this one. Mike Prawley. You see what I did there?
I did.
See his fame right there. Okay. Phil Garner. And then I got, this is a huge success. Brian Prop from the NHL. I sent him 2 cards. This Tops and a Score. And he sent me back 2 signed business cards and 3 additional cards. So Brian Prop.
Props to Prop.
Yeah. And current player that I have not posted yet. Ryan Zimmerman. This is my first time out of 3 that I've gotten Ryan Zimmerman. So
I like that he goes out of his way to personalize it so you can't sell it.
Yeah, well, he's on the Nationals, so
yeah, no, as long as you get something. Yeah.
And then there's just a bunch of other cool ones here. I'll just pick one or two more out. Raleigh Fingers. Now he usually charges. I actually got a price guide asking me to send $15 after the fact. I think we talked about that. We talked about that on a previous podcast, whether you do it
yeah,
for the karma or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But jury's still out there. I haven't decided yet.
Send him some Monopoly money. Send him $15 in Monopoly money.
And then this was an interesting one. If Schaefer was here, he'd know this guy. Barry Evans signed these 82 Fleers were like my favorite growing up. And I think you might have seen the video where I actually got the Cal Ripken Jr. I'm still waiting for it to be graded. But he also sent me this weird trifold that talks about how he loved.
Wait a second, Troy. Ben, you got something going on that's making noise and keep shooting a video over to you, man.
Oh.
So he sent me a testimonial, like 4x6 trifold with how he found religion. But the interesting thing was the very last line where it says, I hope to see you in heaven. And hopefully that's not for a while.
Has a cyanide tablet in the envelope, so.
But that was kind of interesting. But I still have a bunch to go through, and I'm told that I thought I had closed my PO box in California, and I was doing a project that I actually wanted a California Hollywood PO box, so I reopened it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, your mailbox is full," because they never actually closed it. And I thought they'd just RTS anything that I got in. So I'm going to be going there next week, and hopefully I'll have some cool stuff. So
yeah, that's exciting. That's like a totally unexpected Christmas for you.
Yeah, and I did do one weird send last week. Jason Payne, zombie collector, he did this weird reply to me on Facebook once, and I just had to find out who this person was, and I sent a yellow kazoo to the Kazoo Kid from that viral video a few years ago, and we'll see if that comes back. So
yeah,
he's like 30 or 40 now, but he's down there in Missouri, so I figured I'd try one down there.
The Walmart dancing kid, yodeling kid, it was literally like 15 minutes away from me. So there's mean people everywhere.
But that's what I got ready and prepared for you. So
sweet.
Why don't we head over to Chase?
Okay. I was trying to figure out what you're pointing at. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was the wrong way.
All right. First one here I got back pretty lengthy, I guess you could say. 537 days it took to get these back from Tom Johnson. They're
twins.
Yeah.
You got to wait for a good Johnson, man. You just got to wait.
Isn't that our second Johnson of the night? Wasn't there another? Anyway,
I don't know.
I see 5 Johnsons here.
Got one back from Jose Leclerc.
Yep, he's been a good signer this year.
Got Gary Ward. I already have all my Ranger cards signed by him, so I went with some Tigers. And then one from my 91 Fleer set. Tom Grieve, which if anybody wants his Ranger Stadium, and he's probably not going to be there too much longer. He's been taking more and more time off. He's the TV announcer right now, but I don't know if he's going to be there much longer. Next one, David Clyde. We got 2 here from Bert Campaneris.
Nice.
And then
he used to charge, didn't he?
He used to, and he used to do 1 per. I sent 2, and he's both came back. I got sent off to Matthew Modine, but he signed him on the back.
Oh.
I mean, it still looks great, but hey, maybe if you're watching Matthew, do him on the front.
Being picky about free stuff. I tell you what, this Chase.
I don't know. Maybe I'll try again and ask him to sign on the front. I don't know.
Dude, you got to do what they do with the private signings and put the little stickers. Be like, sign right here, put this inscription, and then put your butt print right here and thumb print right here, just so we know it's you.
But that's all I got. It was pretty slow couple weeks for me.
Benny boy, did you track anybody down the last couple weeks?
No. I'm not like a stalker or anything. That just sounds weird.
I said that word. I didn't bring that word up. So, for those of you who aren't used to seeing Ben on the podcast, Benny Boy is what we call an IPer. If you're in the hobby, you obviously know what an IPer is. It's
IP daily.
Yeah, EPs daily. He basically, goes out and finds events to get signatures from people. So you got nothing to report back for the last 2 weeks, huh, buddy?
Not really, except I got Chase some stuff signed.
It's a minor league game.
Yeah, minor league games.
That was off last episode.
Yeah, I got some. I go to minor league games a lot, so and pretty much that's basically it so far. And Yeah, I don't really got
What
much.
you got
With
coming
that
up?
time,
You got a certain thing you're going to coming up with you want to talk about or
no,
not?
I like to remain anonymous at those things. I like to blend in. I don't know. I just don't like to stand out too much.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I understand.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, we'll move
yeah.
on to my returns, which is nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on a plan to start TTMing again past the little cards. So bear with me. We'll move on to the Collector's Chronicles. And this week's not Collector's Chronicles. I'm sorry. The TTM Tool review. Wrote down the wrong thing. The TTM Tool review of the week is actually the autograph card. And Mike's going to explain what those are right now.
All right, guys. If you go to, I'm going to read these off, facebook.com/the autograph card, or on Twitter, twitter.com/autograph card. So the first one is the autograph card on Facebook. Twitter is / just autograph card. They make custom cards for your autographs. So a lot of us collect photographs, baseballs. If you don't have a certain photo of somebody, you can get these pretty cool looking customs. And what it is basically just a blank card that you can carry around and get anyone signed. It's not a person specific. They do have genres. This is an outstanding American, the autograph card. And this is signed by Ted Koppel. So he's a outstanding American. ABC Nightline News.
Dude, you need to get one of those signed by OJ.
Outstanding American.
Outstanding American.
This one is actually, let's see. Next one I'm going to show you is the artist card. And this is a blank one. And we'll talk more about this in just a minute. But on the back, they have, you can put the name, notes, and date it was signed. So here is what the back looks like, so you can keep track of who you're getting. And just to show you guys what this looks like, you can get something like this. This is Norm Breyfogle, and he was a comic book artist, and he sketched a little Batman. It probably took him just a minute or two to sketch, and then he signed down here. So that looks pretty awesome to get one of these back. And it's a hand, it's a hand sketch. You know, not everyone's going to do it. I've gotten some back that people just sign, but some of these guys will take, you know, a couple minutes and sketch you a quick little drawing. There's a Batman, and that's what it looks like. There are some other companies out there that make custom photos. I know the autograph card does make, they have a hockey one up in the top left, and the top right is a baseball. Looks like you can sign on the sweet spot. Bottom left is a basketball, and bottom right is a football. And then they, if you want to go to, I'm sure you can see, it doesn't have a website listed, but go on their Facebook and Twitter. Join us on Facebook and Twitter and be the first to hear about special offers and new product announcements. So pretty cool, because you can carry these around. You run into somebody, you know, you don't have a specific photo of them, you can get something signed. It's basically like an index card, but it's nice card stock. It's just like, you know, a baseball card. Carry these around, fit in your back pocket, have it signed by pretty much anybody. So
it's a pretty cool. They won't sign an index card, you know.
Correct.
Refuse.
Yeah.
So
correct.
That's something they will sign.
Yep.
Unless you're Fred Lynn. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all you sign.
Well, here's why they do that. I go to a mile of minor league games, so does Chase, and their agents tell them not to sign, because what they can do now is it is a blank background, but what they fear, agents, is that they use those and put them on a check, and you can make digital checks like that and create bank fraud. I've heard stories from random minor leaguers about that stuff. So it's check fraud is what they're scared about, or any other random document fraud. So that's why. But they'll happily sign those baseball cards. Like
exactly.
Yeah,
a good alternative.
I showed these off in a different episode. These are some that I make for minor league games. It's got the logo. Mm-hmm. There's still a few people who won't sign these, but I do get quite a bit of these signed.
Is that other company that used to sponsor the podcast still around, Zane? The old podcast?
Rackers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rackers is still around. They also do this. They do some other stuff nowadays too. On top of it, I think they do some authentication and other services. But Rackers is definitely another alternative for these autograph cards. So
I've actually got some examples. So we'll
you got some Rackers cards. Okay, go ahead, show me.
Some Racker cards since we're doing this. Same concept. It's like a movie theater type. This is Peter Cullen, voice of Optimus Prime. And give you an example, this is the Rackers hockey card. Gary Bettman signed that one up there. They did a football one, Sebastian Janikowski. And they did a ring one, which you can use for wrestling, boxing. That's signed by Hillbilly Jim. So there's different companies out there that you can get custom cards made, blank cards for autographing. But the reason that we brought up this one, and I'll explain later in the show, but these are the autograph card blanks that you can get.
Yep. Let's go ahead and move on to our topic for the day. And it's an interesting one. If Ben will stop moving his phone, we'll talk about it. It's how to spot a fake. These are just some tips. This isn't all the tips. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into spotting a fake. This is going to be mostly talking about TTMs, but it can also be applied to purchases. But the first subtopic on this is Autopen stamps and preprints. Those are the ones that are the biggest culprits you're going to see, especially in TTMing. You're going to hear everybody talk about those. Number one's going to be probably Autopen. Then you're going to hear people talk about preprints, and then you're going to hear people talk about stamps. Because stamps are not as prevalent as they used to be, actually. Technology has increased to make things more realistic to fake things. But Autopens, you guys pop in if you hear anything you disagree with. But the main thing on Autopen is start and stop points. Every time there's a line that ends, you're usually going to see some form of a dot. The new modern Autopen machines are getting better at this, and I've seen some dots on some things and some not dotted, which is kind of getting scary because it's showing that the Autopen machines maybe get to the point where it'll be a lot harder to detect. And so you look for those dots, and once you find the dots, you're like, okay, I suspect this is an Autopen. It's probably an Autopen. What I do is go search on Star Tiger because it's a gigantic image gallery that you can choose from to check signatures and see if anything matches pen stroke by pen stroke. And if you find one or two that do, pen stroke by pen stroke, everything's the same, it's most likely definitely an Autopen. You guys have any other tips on that?
Just real quick, for anybody that doesn't know, an Autopen machine is a machine that replicates writing. They take, basically, you have to have a template of somebody's actual signature, and then it's a machine that basically draws the autograph. So it is someone's actual autograph drawn by a machine.
Right. And it's a lot, it's very common in politics, becoming increasingly popular in entertainment and music, which is scary because that was usually, you were safe there. I think the studios and the management companies that did TTMs started this back in the day. Actually, were studio fan mail, were those all Autopen? Were those all preprints, or were some Autopen? Because I remember there was discussion. Yeah. See, that's what I thought. But some people were talking about like maybe there were some Autopens, but because I think there were some signatures possibly in different places, but it's the same looking signature. Anyways,
yeah. So celebrities have gotten so. Celebrities have gotten so used to people selling autographs that the bigger they get, there's multiple Autopens.
Right.
So yeah. I think Arnold Palmer was one, just because you get, let's say you send 2 photos and you have 2 separate signatures, does not mean it's authentic.
Mhm.
He had multiple Autopens.
Yeah.
And that's just a template. He signed 2 different templates, and they can run it through two different styles of handwriting.
Yeah.
DK in chat brought up the fact that they also have some jagged loops and lines. That is increasingly not the case as they get better and better. Yes, all the old school stuff pretty much has the jagged loops, but I feel like the machines are getting better. There's still some people with some older machines, but
Well, I think that's a good thing to just briefly talk about. And I think you did it on a previous podcast or something. But the old Autopen machines with the little where it was a circle attached to an arm, and it traced the circle, and you put your. I'm sorry, that was off screen. So you have the little signature wheel here and attached to the arm, and it signs it. But nowadays, you don't really need that little source engraving. They can take them from an SD card and digitize it and hook it straight up to a machine too. So
yeah,
it's
getting a lot trickier. But we'll always have some evidence toward Autopens, I think, at least in my lifetime. I don't see them perfecting it. Now, if they could somehow change it, like have some algorithm that changed variations automatically to where there was unlimited variations, that would crush. Like that would crush the autograph world, where you're like, okay, well, at this point it's impossible. But
there's one thing about Autopens though. The more complicated the autograph, the harder the machine is to figure out where to start and stop. A perfect example is Dustin Johnson, the golfer. His Autopen, it basically reads Dustin Johnson, but his actual signature looks nothing like that, because the Autopen machine, the way it works, it has to know where to start and where to stop. And when lines cross, it has a hard time figuring that out. So a lot of times the Autopen has a signature that looks very clean, running from left to right, and it doesn't have a lot of loops and crosses. So you'll see a variation in somebody's autograph, and look at Dustin Johnson, look at his actual in-persons or certified stuff compared to his Autopens on Star Tiger. And I've got one somewhere that I could show you, but it's very left to right, and you can read Dustin Johnson because the Autopen machine has to know where to start and where to stop.
Right. Yeah. Anybody else got anything else on Autopens before we move on to let's do preprints next. Preprints. Okay, we'll move on to preprints. So preprints, the light test is the easiest one. Not always fully conclusive, but it's like 90% trustworthy. You take, especially if it's a glossy photo, it pretty much has to be a glossy photo to do the light test, unless you guys have other information. So basically, you take the photo and you lean it up toward the light where the shine hits it from the light, and you can see a variation in the live ink on the photo, or it doesn't do anything and the photo reflects off of it, just the signature, just like the photo. In that case, it would be a preprint. So that is the easiest way to tell on that. I have trouble because I work with a lot of paper, and paper is a lot harder to tell preprints than photos. So I use this little doohickey on preprints, but I hate preprints because they're like I said, photos are kind of easy, but paper, it makes my life a living hell. And I use this thing, and it zooms in on a micro level, and you can actually see the spotting in the ink and compare it to other printed material on the page and see if it has the same spotting. If it does have the same spotting, it's most likely printed. If the ink is a different color and does not have the same spotting, it's usually a live signature. So that's how I tell on paper, which is a lot harder. You can get these on eBay for not eBay, but Amazon for like $10 or less. They just hook in right into your phone, and then you can zoom in with your phone. So anybody got anything else on preprints?
I know a lot of the bigger name baseball players, if you send to them at the stadium, you'll get preprints back.
You're right.
So I mean, it's
And the one thing you can do to check that too, if you have a preprint that you're 99% sure that it's a preprint, if you take and it's a glossy photo, you take a dry erase marker and write on the end of the autograph and a little spot, and then you dry erase it and it doesn't come off. That's a preprint.
Yep, that's a last resort kind of thing. I've used that a couple times, and that if you're pretty sure it is, and you want to make sure, that is definitely a really good way to do it. Anything else on preprints? Very common studio fan mail. It was notorious. They still send them out, I think. If you get anything from studio fan mail, it's going to be preprints. And I feel like preprints are not as popular as they used to be because people are smarter in the hobby, and I feel like they're just moving away from them, moving more toward the Autopen way. So that's just my opinion. Stamps. Let's talk about stamps, guys. Stamp signatures are the old school way of doing an Autopen. It's just like it sounds like. It's a stamp signature. Now there are legit signatures that are stamp signatures. Hear me out. So Richard Pryor had this disease that basically rendered him like in a wheelchair and couldn't do a lot. And he wrote a book, and he could not sign anymore, but he could do stamps. So those stamp signatures by Richard Pryor were done in person and considered a live signature. Also, the guy that I showed off this 4 or 5 shows ago, he had no arms, no legs. He also used a stamp because obviously he had trouble signing because all he had was his mouth. So he would use his mouth to do the stamp signature. So there are legit signed stamp signature items. They're very rare. Mostly it was signed back in the day, and they didn't want to sign their mail, so they just stuck a stamp on there and called it a day. I tend not to see this on photos as much because the transfer does not go well. I tend to see stamps on documents a lot more and books. But you guys got anything on stamps?
I got one right here.
Who is it?
That's Adrian Beltre.
Yeah, that's who I was trying to think of. Yeah.
And also Nomar Mazara for the Rangers right now. If you send anything to him, it's coming back rubber stamped.
Okay, I guess we didn't get into how to identify the stamp. It's probably the easiest to identify, in my opinion. From what I recall from seeing all the stamps that I've seen, the outside of the signature tends to be a lot darker. The inside tends to be a lot lighter, possibly even bubbled. And that's the telltale sign of a stamp. Yeah, you guys got.
Another thing is you can also do the light test on a stamp. Now it will show a difference, but if you look, there's no pen strokes inside the signature. It's just like a solid,
a solid block.
Yeah, I don't think you can zoom in close enough on this to see, but
yeah, there's no pen strokes in that. Yeah, you're right. You can see no pen strokes. It's just
plus if you got
there's no overlapping.
Yeah, if you got multiple and it's exactly the same, then you know.
Yeah, it's same rules as Autopen. If it's exactly the same, then you know.
Well, Chase, can you hold that up again real quick? Sorry, I just noticed like one of the letters you can clearly tell.
Yeah. Closer to the end, you can really see it.
But you have to
see if it's. There we go.
Keep talking, Chase.
Oh,
it's like an L.
Anyway,
trying to get it to focus. There we go.
Right there. There's B-E, the E. You can tell there's like a little bit of smudge from a stamp.
Yeah.
E and Beltre. And then the part of the B, like the part where, that you connect the B, you can just tell there, right there.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
And the biggest thing, guys, you suspect these things and you do research to find out the truth. So it's not like you see something and you know for sure. I mean, sometimes you're 99% sure, but you always double check to make sure your premonitions are true. John Snyder in the chat brought up a thing, said the examples I brought up are not legit. He wouldn't call them legit. My point is they sell as legit. The stamped signatures from Richard Pryor, when he could not sign, sell for the same prices as a Richard Pryor signed book. So that's how I'm coming at that. Not some, I know a lot of people wouldn't count that as legit, but if that's the only way he could sign at the time, then I think a lot of people would count that. Same principle as the Stephen Hawking fingerprint books. Stephen Hawking could not sign, so he fingerprinted books for the longest time. Now those go for less money than the signed items, because Stephen Hawking signed items are one of the rarest things you can find. Although I found one.
Yeah, and here's another one. And mentioned about Beltray, he actually had multiple stamps. It's the exact same signature. You can barely see it because it rubbed off in the envelope, but it's smaller for like vertical cards.
Yeah,
but you can see it a little better on that one. But yeah, it was still wet whenever you put it in the envelope, and it just rubbed off.
Stamps are the worst when it comes to rubbing off. You're going to get a lot of transfer on stamps because I think they have to sit a lot longer than anything else.
Wasn't the Gene Wilder stamp like really obvious, where you could see the corners of the actual stamp because they?
Oh, really? Yeah,
maybe.
I wasn't around when that happened, so I don't know. Anybody else know?
That's what I remember, but
that's funny. Like it's like legit, like with the box around it and everything.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. All right, well, let's move on. Those are the obvious ones, guys. You're going to deal with in TTMs. So if you're doing TTMing, those are the three that you really need to be brushed up on. Let's move on to flow and hesitation. Flow and hesitation basically talks about where the signature is going and how confident the signature is. Whenever you have a forgery, this is where we're going to get into forgeries a little bit. You're going to have somebody trying to copy a signature. A lot of times they get artists to try to do this because they tend to have a steadier hand on copying things. But you're still going to see some hesitation in the signature where it would not be if somebody signed it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So if you go on eBay, it's by far the easiest place to see this. 50% of the stuff on eBay is like ridiculously obviously fake. So go check out some of the maybe PSA certified stuff compared to some of the stuff Joe Schmo's selling. And he's got like 10 Bryce Harpers. Bryce Harper's maybe not a good example because his is kind of a quick signature. You'll see this a lot more with the more elaborate signatures. It's definitely going to show there. And if it shows smoothness, that's more of a sign of authenticity because the person's, like I said, has done this arm motion 1,000 times. So this does not really apply to the professional forgers that also make that movement 1,000 times. But it's all forgeries and they've been practicing. This is mainly just eBay scrubs we're talking about here on hesitation. So what do you guys think?
Yep. No, you can definitely tell, like, somebody that's trying to duplicate a signature, you'll see a kind of a shake because they're going slower and there's not that flow to a signature. But you do have the good forgers, the Operation Bullpen Mickey Mantles. They're rampant, but every time one pops up for sale, there's 1,000 questions in every forum. Is this legit? Because they got good at it.
Yep. They've signed just as much as Mantle, like close to,
if not more.
At that point, it becomes very tough. But a majority of the stuff you're going to buy is not going to be professionally forged. It's going to be scrubs. So be on the lookout for those hesitations. The best ones on eBay usually only have like 1 or 2 hesitations, and they're minor. So you really got to look at it, but they're there usually. Item age. This is an obvious one, but it's a fun one because I've seen some ridiculous items. If you have a Rob Mansford baseball signed by Babe Ruth, it may not be real. So you need to take into account what year the product was made and what year the person died. Not only that, but you need to take into account what year the product was made and what signature the person had around that time. For example, If you have a 1950 Mickey Mantle item, well, I guess it could be signed later. I was going to say he had a totally different signature in the 50s than he did on. So I guess that case wouldn't apply because he could sign it later. But or if you, I'll do it this way: if you have like a 1990s item of Mickey Mantle and it's signed with his 1950s early signature, obviously a sign of a fake. Can't happen. But what do you guys think on that obvious topic? You guys, what are some of the biggest examples?
There's some other obvious ones, I guess, like the Sharpie. Like if they died before the Sharpie was invented.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thing.
Or certain
Like,
color Sharpies.
Yeah, exactly.
Black came out a long time ago, but then like blue and silver are more. Well, not necessarily blue, but like silver and gold and the metallic ones are, in the last 20 years or so.
One of the biggest fights I ever saw on the Facebook forums was over what year Sharpies came out. Because like there was somebody who had an expensive signature in Sharpie and they were like defending it to the death. They're like, no, Sharpies came out in like 1942, dude.
Yeah, well, before Sharpie, there was Marks a lot, which is pretty much the same thing, but it was a bigger, thicker marker.
Well, you also have to think about commonality. Were autographs usually signed in that though, or were they usually signed in ballpoint pen or even fountain pen back in the day? So even if something was around, was it popular enough to be yes, it could technically be signed in that early version of a Sharpie, but if that early version of Sharpie was barely popular, then what are the odds that it's actually signed?
So 1964 is when the Sharpie came out. So if you have something signed by, let's say, Ty Cobb in a black Sharpie, chances are it's probably not legit.
And it's a baseball that's supposed to be an older baseball signed with a Sharpie that came out before. Yeah. And you could still read it.
I seem to remember a case of somebody taking an authentic signature. It was an older signature and it was fading. So the genius decided to use a Sharpie to go over the signature to keep it live. I remember reading that story somewhere. So
well, there are exceptions, but not like if you get one of those cards that I think I talked about in a recent video or something that have the insert and you put a cut signature inside of a current product, and people, Topps comes out with that one of Babe Ruth signed whatever, but that's a completely different ball game.
Exactly.
Wait, that's a
and another good example of that is I've done this and it drives people crazy. It actually causes people not to buy the item. It drives them so crazy. I'll sell a book that was published in 1933. The person that wrote the book died in 1928. I'll take a signature. They signed some crappy book that's not famous, put it in the book that was published in 1933 after they died as a cut signature, a book plate, and I will get 1 million emails. This can't be real. It's in a book from 1933. He died in 1924. And I'm like, it's a cut signature, dude. It was cut from a piece of something different, not this book.
Right.
So you also got to pay attention to that stuff.
But I think what you're talking about is, modern products, like you said, going that other way. So.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so last subtopic here is sources. Where did the product come from? So you get it TTM. Those are always suspected. 24/7, 7 days a week. You got to suspect everything. And a lot of people don't do that. If you're collecting for yourself and you're never going to sell your collection, then okay, you got me. Have at it, collect all you want, believe what you want. That's fine. But if you ever think there's a time where this stuff's going to get sold, going to go to somebody else and get sold, or end up somebody else, or you gonna need money down the line, you need to at least mark stuff you suspect and do some research. I feel like that's one of the main things about being in the autograph business. And I think that's one of the main things the internet has really helped out with. Information is so plentiful now that it makes it so much easier to know what you have with sources like Star Tiger. So if it's TTM, always question the source or always not the source, always question the authenticity. If it's a buyer, always look at two things: their reputation, obviously, feedback, all that stuff. That's the obvious stuff. And the number two thing is look at their policy when it comes to refunds. If these guys say 14 days, 30 days, returns, no question asks, I would say that's a little sketchy. As a dealer myself, anything that's not a lifetime return policy is garbage. If you're selling something, you should have confidence in that product that it's real. And if you don't have that confidence, you shouldn't be selling the product. So those are the sellers that you want to go to, that if you buy something and down the line you get it certified or you do your research and feel uncomfortable with it, you should be able to return that item for a full refund. Yeah. So always take that into account. And if they don't have that policy, COA or not, COAs don't matter. Just throw COA stuff out the window. I offer store COAs mostly because people want them for gifts. But I put in my thing, this is a store COA. Basically, this means nothing. This just tells you where the autograph came from. So, anyways, what do you guys think?
Definitely.
I'll go from a TTMer's point of view as far as like the source. Like if you send to somebody at, a home address or their agency and you get something back from Studio Fan Mail, there are businesses out there that handle people's fan mail and they'll send back preprints or Autopens. Studio Fan Mail, we touched on it, is notorious for sending preprints. There's a company, Sparky Taylor. If you get something back, you'll send it, let's say, I'm just throwing this out there, I don't think he's a client, but Robert Redford. Okay, and you get something back from Sparky Taylor and it's signed, it's probably going to be an Autopen or some kind of secretarial, because that's their business. They're in the business of, providing fan mail services to higher up celebrities. And so that's know your source too. So if you see something coming back, it's going to be fake if it's coming from a Studio Fan Mail or a Sparky Taylor.
Right. Anybody else?
Another thing you want to watch for is if you're looking on like eBay, look at their other items. If they're selling like cards or pictures and everything's signed in the exact same color, I mean, come on. I know there's a lot of people who collect only certain colors. Like everything's got to be blue, but every time you sign something, it's not always going to be blue. You get, there's some times where, like I do like the live minor league games and major league games and stuff. There's sometimes I'll be holding my pin out and they'll grab somebody else's pin and sign several other people's stuff with that pin, which, it kind of drives me crazy sometimes because I'm sitting there right here with my pin next to it. But, it happens. And, there's some that, if it's like if it's only signed in blue and it's a dark color picture, why didn't they sign that in silver or something?
Right. That actually brings up a very good, or I'm throwing another subtopic on here. Okay. So, the thing that drives me nuts are these cast sign posters. Okay. And the people that are forgers think it's a genius idea to sign in 8 different colors, because if it's signed in 8 different colors, then we had to go a bunch of different places to get, all these signatures. It's 8 different colors. And you can tell they just bought like an 8-pack of Sharpies at the freaking store. It's like went to town, but like they think that that's tricking somebody. So watch for people that where they almost try too hard to make it appear that they got different signatures in different places. It's like, no, like you would most likely stick to like maybe 2 different colors, maybe 3, like maybe black, blue, and like silver or something like that. It drives me crazy, those bright signed photos with 11 different colors on them that people sell. On top of that, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, but you can get lucky every once in a while. So if you have a cast signed poster of Star Wars, think to yourself, what does that entail to get that signed? Like, what did somebody have to go through to get the entire cast of Star Wars: A New Hope signed? It's a lot. Like, they would have to literally do a lot of IPing that Ben would know about, a lot of work, and if they do that work, they're not selling it for $150. Okay, they're going to sell it for $1,000 or more easily, because it took them a lot of work to get that done. So use common sense when it comes to that. So that just sparked my. You're talking about the pens and stuff, and I was like, man, those popped in my brain. I was like, there's two more things we could talk about when it comes to authenticity to look out for.
Another thing with ink and IP is that some people are notorious for only signing in one certain color. So if you, let's say Joe Schmo, he only signs in black, and you got a blue signature, well, you either tricked him the one time, or it's clearly fake. Like some people are really good at telling, like, nope, that's a blue pen, I'm not signing that. Because they do that because most people prefer blue, and black they think devalues it, but I mean, it's a signature, so whatever.
And to know that information, you would have to be in the autograph forums on Facebook and other places to really know the inside baseball for that stuff. But
you can trick them. There's ways to trick them. Like if I grab this pen over here, it's just like, never mind. But you can you can trick them. But there's ways to trick people. But like
different color Sharpie cap on it.
Well, no, the way I hand people pen is that I hand it like this, and then I uncap it so they have the pen, so they're not having to uncap it and stuff like that. So basically, it's.
Well, Chase brought up, can't you just put a different cap on it?
Like on the back, like you got the pen open on one side and put the.
I mean, you could
just put the blue on the black and the black on the blue.
I mean, you could. That's. Yeah,
well,
that's a simple answer.
This part will always be in color, though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about. Yeah, I forgot about that. You could probably deconstruct those and put them back together if you really wanted to be evil.
I got was it Nana Visitor years ago from Star Trek, and at the time they were saying that she would not sign in a metallic paint pen because she had an allergy to that paint pen. Now since then, Sharpie came out with like the silver and the gold and stuff, and apparently she can sign with that. But if you see something in that metallic paint pen that's signed by her, it's probably not real.
I've had that happen once before. That's a thing that's actually true though. Like some people cannot handle paint pens because of the smell. I've had that with like Lyle Lovett, I believe, is when I had that with. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey Ben, if I were to construct some Sharpies, like deconstruct them and put them back together with different colors on the outside, you think there'd be a market for that in the IP world?
Probably not. I think you're just wasting your time at that point. But it's
thought I had another business venture.
I mean, you could just trick them, but I don't know.
Why trick them when you have a fake pen? I mean, there's no tricking there. It's just done for you, my friend.
Yeah, anyways. They make that first mark and see it's a different color, they may just stop right there and you just get a line.
Well, that would happen anyway. No matter how you're tricking them, that's going to be the case.
It's still a signature. I mean, they signed their line. So
yeah, it's their line, man.
Well, I think, funnily enough, Zane, I think on the My Sharpies where I got mine personalized, I think you could pick the colors of the caps separately than the ink. I'm not sure, but.
Ooh, there you go. If you're an IP or you heard Troy, go check that out.
Maybe I don't know.
It'd be fake. Yeah. Anyway, so let's. Anybody got anything on this topic before we move on to our fanatic feedback? Anything on spotting a fake, either TTM or purchases? Last call.
I had one that I thought for sure that was real because I had a private address that was unpublished. I had. That I had sent the photo to. I had a good story because I knew the person in a previous life, and then I posted it online, and B-Mart burst my bubble, and it was an Autopen. And as soon as I saw it, the other examples, it was pretty obvious. And so, yeah, just do your research.
That's good. I like that. So basically, emotion got in the way of you possibly seeing the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it a lot with Chris Pratt with Guardians of the Galaxy because people were like, "Oh, I got it back. I sent to the set," and they all had the 3 little hearts after it, and
Right.
Love Chris Pratt with the 3 little hearts, and it's
Right.
like, nope, those line up exactly. So
Exactly. So don't let your emotions get in front of the truth. So if you are super excited about this return you got, calm down and look at it and judge it properly.
yeah, thanks, Ben.
We'll leave it on that. Okay. We're gonna move on to fanatic feedback.
Woo!
This is the segment where you guys write in and ask us questions and we answer them to the best of our ability. We got 3 in this week. This one comes from Al Joritz. It says, "Hey guys, long time no see. I recently got back into the hobby and just sent out a new batch of TTMs, the first in probably 4 years for me. What are your tips for people coming back into the hobby after a significant time away? Also, what photo sites are you guys using nowadays? Thanks." Let's see. On the photos, we are experimenting with Amazon photos. Mike's done it. I've done it. And that's working out pretty well. Mail pics, I think. Was that the one we were using before? You guys?
Yeah,
Okay,
mail pics. I used them for about 3 years straight.
Yeah, and they're slower, but their prices are decent, so that's obviously a choice. But this Amazon Prime photo stuff, you get the photos in 5 days sometimes. So I've been loving it. So when it comes to photo sources, I would say jump on the Amazon train while you can until they shut down copyright stuff. So what do you guys think on that?
Yep.
That's what I'm using right now.
Yep. So tips coming back into the hobby after you've been off 4 years. This is kind of what the situation I'm in. Before I kind of wrote to everybody and had a form letter, didn't put a lot of thought into it. I was just cranking out the TTMs, and personally trying to come back, came back with the failed attempt of the tiny cards, a semi-failed attempt, and now trying to come back with another process. I'm putting a lot more thought into actually interacting with the people I'm writing to, with the story, and getting better quality returns over quantity, but still having a process that makes it easy and fast, because time is money. That is how I'm coming at it. Also, Star Tiger is still by far the best source to use, so don't have to worry about that changing. You guys got any tips for coming in 4 years later? How was the hobby changed in 4 years?
I would say just enjoy it. Don't try and go full throttle and get burnt out and then take another 4 years off. Just enjoy it as a hobby. That's all.
That's kind of a motto on our podcast. Even with our show, we say put life first and collecting, wherever it goes. Don't make this a hassle in your life where you're dreading having to sit down and write TTMs. That's not a place where you want to be when you're in a hobby. A hobby's supposed to be fun. So yeah, that's good advice. Just take it easy, enjoy it, and go at whatever pace you're comfortable with. Don't try to catch up for those 4 years you missed. We'll go ahead and move on to Money Mike. It's a pretty funny little message here. He says, "Your soon-to-be favorite feedbacker here. Here's one for all you in your parents' basements making the podcast. Just kidding. This doesn't look like a basement. We all have kids."
I don't.
We are the
I
parents.
don't.
Oh, whatever. Okay, you guys don't, but I was being just the general we.
At least I hope I don't.
The B-Mart, not that he knows about. Anyways, he says, great TTMers who stop signing. He's bringing that up as a topic. Grace Slick, Jim Level seems to stop signing with lots of returns, coming back unsigned now. As well as just today, I saw the Secret Service agent Clint Hill, who was a TTM legend with historical buffs, has posted on his Facebook page that he will no longer be signing TTM and his reasoning behind it. He says, "This is my 3.5 cent ramble. You can PayPal me that 3.5 cents if you run the topic." We're not going to run it as a topic. We're going to actually talk about it right now. This happens. I mean, this has always been part of the hobby. And what you'll find, as with, like Clint Hill has said this, I think twice before, So obviously he's given in to the pressure of getting like I think what happens is like I'm done signing these people, selling my stuff on eBay. How dare they? And then they get a letter from like a kid who like is like 5 years old and is writing in crayon colors and like is like I'm a big history buff and I appreciate your service to the United States of America. And they're like, my heart, I'm gonna go sign again. That's what I imagine happens. But with a lot of these people, some will stop signing. It's going to happen. I mean, especially with the internet and ruining addresses and all that stuff, it is part of the hobby that people are going to stop signing. But some come back. Jim Lovell, I thought I'd never see the day Jim Lovell would sign TTM again. But he did.
Yeah, I got him back earlier this year.
Yeah. And now he stopped again, it seems like. So, like, it's cycles, man. I wouldn't. It's not anything to worry about. Like people that I guess there is actively ruining addresses. Like people that are kind of just lazy with the address and throw it around everywhere, and then like it just becomes flooded. That is kind of annoying on my end. Like I don't like that. But nothing. You can't do anything about it. That's other people. That's what they do. You can't. They're doing their hobby, and you got to do your hobby, and you can't control what other people's ethics are in the hobby. So,
yeah, I've seen more not just because of flooding, like as in multiple people flooding an address, but you see the people that send 20 things in one, letter request, and that's when people start like, not good. Like there's been several people on Star Tiger that maybe it was just one guy actually where he'd send all the custom trading cards to celebrities and
15 or 20 of it at a time.
yeah and so that type of flooding I think is more of a thing than actually flooding an address sometimes.
And I just want to put it out there, like I'm all for if you want to get that stuff signed TTM, there's a right way to do it. If you're going to ask for 20 signatures, you need to pay money, and you need to ask the person. Like I would send basically a letter of request and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'd like to get these 20 items signed by you. If I gave you $20 or $25, would you sign these 20 items? Mm-hmm. If it's a lower level person, most likely they're going to say yes. And that the items you're getting back are probably worth way more than that. So that's the right way to do it, in my opinion. I don't judge people who do it in general. I just think that's the way you should do it. Not the way where you just say, I like your show, sign my 20 items. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But okay. Anybody got anything else on people stopping signing TTM?
Wade Boggs seems to be on and off. I think he's off again now. I'm not sure.
I think he's just like he's in a drunken coma every like 2 months, and they wake him up and it's like, hey Wade, you gotta sign some stuff. Oh, what year is it?
That's one of those cases of people sending 20 cards and $5 and being like, sign everything.
Yeah, send him money, he'll sign.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what money is the thing. Like people will sign for money. Like that's their time they're putting into it, and the least you could do is throw them some bucks. Like that's $25 for 5 minutes for them to sign. Like that's a pretty good deal.
I sent one card, his rookie card, to him 4 times. And finally, on the 4th time he signed it, he would sign all the other cards, and I raised the money each time. First, I was starting off like $5 a card. And I would send off like 2 cards. He'd skip that card. Okay. So I did $10 a card. He'd skip that card. Sent him finally the last one. I only sent that card in like $10, and he signed it and sent it back to me.
That's so
he
funny.
Would not sign that card for me for, like I said, it took like 3 or 4 tries before I finally got it.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, just be kind. These people are doing you a service, and don't flood them. So moving on to the last question, we have did we do all of them? No. Okay, so the last question is coming from Rich Martin. Rich says, I recently discovered the podcast and I'm hooked. Do you have any luck with signed baseballs via TTM? Any tips would be greatly appreciated. Please keep up all the great work and do more frequent shows. I'll address that first. All the best, Rich. So frequent shows. I know you guys probably want to see a weekly podcast. We used to do a weekly podcast. It was actually called Autograph Weekly. What happens with that is it's a higher stress situation. We are comfortable designating 2 to 3 hours a week of our time, or every 2 weeks of our time to do this show. But we want this to be something we do for fun and have a good time doing it. When it turns into a job and something we have to do every single week, it just doesn't work out, guys. I've been down this road a couple times, and bi-weekly gives us enough time to kind of catch our breath in between shows and really enjoy it and look forward to it. If it's every week, it becomes more of a job. So, and we're not getting paid for anything. We're doing this for, our enjoyment mainly, and to promote our channels and, eBay and stuff. But that's really why we only do bi-weekly. Baseballs, autograph TTM. I've done a few. I used the wrong pen. I sent a pen and it ended up fading in the sun when I displayed the baseballs. So I'm going to throw it to Ben. Are you available to talk about some baseballs signed and what pens you should use?
Just a big ballpoint blue pen or black pen, whichever you prefer. I prefer blue, but obviously don't use Sharpie because it bleeds. Use a real Major League Baseball. Spend the money; it'll look nice. Don't
what about the fake or the damaged balls, the ROMLB ones or whatever?
Those are okay, but it's just like, dude, spend the money. It's like $15 at Walmart to it's like.
But what if you're getting like a guy that played one game in the majors?
If you want
classic China baseball,
that's personal preference. if you want it to look nice, I want my stuff to look nice because I'm OCD. But it's just I would have it. I would take the time and effort to make it look nice. And though that's just me, but if you cut corners, your autograph will cut corners too. So
yeah, that's true. When it comes to shipping it, Mike, have you shipped any baseballs? Troy, any large items?
I don't do a lot of baseballs, but from what I've heard and what most guys do, they'll put it in a Ziploc baggie. So apparently that helps it. I don't know if that rubs or what, but a lot of guys will do a padded envelope and put the pen in there, and then just have another padded envelope, return bubble mailer. I don't collect baseballs, so I don't send them through the mail. I'm sure it's probably expensive to send it to, but.
Well, the baseball itself is expensive, so go ahead, Chase.
I've sent several through the mail. If you go to my YouTube, I actually have a tutorial that shows how I do it. But yeah, I get the official balls. I cover it with tissue paper. That way, it doesn't rub on the way back. It doesn't rub inside. I use bubble mailers. I think it's now it's $5-6 each way, and I put the pin in, because if you don't put a pin in,
it's going Sharpie.
It's whatever they have with them at the time they're signing. So I would definitely put the pin in. As Mike was saying, some people do put them in sandwich bags, kind of like the tissue paper. I don't like sandwich bags just because, again, it's still rubbing on that, so it could smear. But yeah, do
you use an address label? Do you go to Click and Ship and use that as a return envelope, or do you just put postage on the?
I just put stamps on it.
I think actually, once you start to get into items like bigger items that go first class, because I ship a lot, it may be worth it to just buck up and do Click and Ship and do a label to and a label from. Put it on each envelope and do it that way. That way you have an official postage already on there. There's no stamps that are going to fall off, and you're not going to get you don't have to guess on postage due and stuff like that. It's just a lot more clear cut, in my opinion. So that's the way I would definitely go.
Another tip I would say is to test the pen before you send it for 5 seconds, because if you buy it read straight out of a package and don't test it, it's probably gonna take a few tries, and the person's not going to sit there and take a few tries before they sign it. They're just going to straight up sign it. So I would test it before you send it out, and get it going for 2-3 times before putting it in the package.
For example, I'm actually sending out a bunch of stuff to get signed by the cast here. We got some swag coming, and I got to send out to everybody to get some stuff signed. And on top of everything's going to be a crappy 8x10 to test the marker out on before they actually sign all the items. So that no matter where you are, no matter what you're going to sign,
we can have some interesting signatures on the test piece.
Yeah, definitely. You can write whatever you want on the test piece. Maybe we'll give away the test piece as a prize.
No, I like what you said about the click and ship, because I'm pretty sure if you use like paypal.com/ship now and stuff like that,
business rates,
that you would, well, not only that, but as soon as they put it in the mail, and if you have that informed delivery, you'll get that
tracking
notification that, awaiting ship, or not awaiting, because that happens when you make it. But that's interesting.
Yep. I think that's the way to go. The only, if you're going overseas, I think they need the date that it's being shipped. And I think it's more important overseas to have that date correct that's being shipped. Click and ship, you do, I think, put the date that it's being shipped. But I think if it's backdated, it's not as big of an issue. If it's forward dated, obviously it would be an issue. So if you guys know anything about click and ship and doing TTMs that way, let us know. I've definitely used click and ship back and forth with other items through business, but I've never done it using TTMs. So anyways,
hey, Ben, I had a quick question for you. What do you think of the Steedler pins, like the blue Steedler pins on balls? I've seen some short like sign with that.
Those are okay. I mean, but that's just another preference thing. It's just, I mean, that is ink. And I mean, those ink, Staedtler is the company that the pens that they give with Panini and stuff like that. That's an official, like, I've seen it happen. Like Panini gives them Staedtlers or similar to Staedtlers to sign on their cards and stuff. So, I mean, it's going to look good on any surface. I mean, it's meant to look good on any surface, but I prefer cards on that. And it's a ball. I would just go ballpoint pen. That's what I prefer.
So everybody wants, right?
Yeah, it's just like, it's the safest bet you have in order for it to not bleed or fade, basically. So, and it's not like 100% guarantee. Nothing is, but it's just like,
right.
You're 95%. It won't do that.
Right.
So.
Okay, boys and girls, we're running so late here, so we're gonna move on. We still have a whole case against to do. It's going to take so long, guys. Man, I don't know how we're going to get through this. But we're going to move on to the giveaway winner for last week. As you guys know, I have a business called Fabric Fobs. I take celebrity clothing and put them in keychains. We give away a Beyonce fabric fob, piece of her clothing on the back, and picked a winner, and the winner is Al Joritz. Congratulations, Al. You have won the Beyonce fabric fob. We'll get that out to you ASAP. And the new giveaway is going to be showed to you by Mikey.
We are going to give away a 10-pack of these autograph card sketch cards so you can send to somebody and they can draw you a picture. 10 cards of the artist's cards for sketching by the autograph card.
Yep. So the custom cards we were talking about in our TTM Tool segment, you can get those for free. All you got to do is go to our website, autographersanonymous.com, or graphersaa.com. It's a shorter URL. Same place. And I just so happened to redesign it over the last week. We have some new graphics to use for the show, which may or may not be used in our swag coming up. So go there, and there's a link on the right hand side, and it says giveaway. Click that and fill out the form and answer this question. What is your best sketch that you got TTM, or a sketch that you got on a purchase? It could either be a very elaborate sketch you got from a newspaper artist, like a cartoon artist, or it could be a smiley face next to a signature that you got. If that's all you got, tell us the smiley face person. But answer that question in on the giveaway page, autographersanonymous.com or graphersaa.com, same place. And answer that question. You'll be entered to win the 10-pack of the autograph card artist cards.
So smiley faces count?
Smiley faces count. That's a sketch.
Right there. D. Wallace.
Sketch. Sketch, my friend. On
It is pretty sketch.
Ninja Turtles by Paul Laird.
yeah, that's a legit one. Yeah,
There's a
look
good
it up.
question from John. Do lip prints count?
Lip prints count for
A sketch?
a sketch? Sure, I'll allow it. Yeah, lip prints count. Technically, they didn't use their hands to sketch it, but it's fine.
There you go.
They count. Okay. Let's see here. We're gonna move on to let's see, the case against Shaquille O'Neal. The case against Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm gonna get this started. Ben, I'm gonna mute your audio. You got some feedback. Okay, so let's see.
That's really bad.
I got it. The case against Shaquille O'Neal. Sorry, guys. I'm going to cut this here, and then I'm going to splice it in the podcast. Start over again. The case against Shaquille O'Neal. After many, many, many minutes of looking for stuff to show you here, I came up with this. Let me show you on my screen. Shaquille Shaqtimus Prime O'Neal, born 1963 to parents Shaquanda and Thomas. Shaquille O'Neal signs TTM. That's what we hear from everybody, right? We're better to start off than the certified auto. Certified Tops auto. This is about as fancy as it gets, folks. You have the O in Shaq and the number. Those two things do not show up all the time in his signatures, as you will see. Here we have an authentic Shaq Uncut signed book. This was actually signed back in, I believe, the early 90s, mid 90s. And you have the Shaq with the O and the long tail. But that was early on, guys. What's he doing now? Oh, this is also from the same book, but we get a 33 inscription here, which is nice. Notice on the 33, the 3 is not very defined in the middle. Not much of a crest there. It's almost a straight line on this one and just a little bump on this one. Note that. Also, the 33 is quite large for what we're about to see. This is a book written by his mother, Lucille O'Neal, and also signed by Shaq. So, as you can see, as the years went on, Shaq's signature devolved into literally just Shaq. That's the most common signature now. Got the 33, though, which is a plus. And as you can see, barely any bump in the middle of the 3, barely any bump in the middle of the 3, but a little one. Moving on. Another Lucille O'Neal signed book with her son, Shaq. And this time we just got Shaq. Uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem. We don't have a lot of time left on this podcast, and I don't think it's going to take a lot of time here, guys. These are TTMs from Shaquille O'Neal. If you look over here at the number, yeah, it's not 33. It's 32. But the number is itty bitty tiny, and the middle part is defined. It's not really a minor bump like the others. The 2 you can't really compare other than its tininess compared to the other numbers. Ignore the Hall of Fame because I couldn't find any legit Hall of Fame signed stuff from him. I didn't search very long. I'm sure it's out there. So you have the Shaq, which looks different automatically, and the O'Neal, which is separated, and I barely even see an O here. So nothing like his Authentics, which, by the way, the Authentics that it's rare to get an O'Neal Like these were signed back in the mid 90s. And also his certifieds, which he gets paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So again, TTM. So obviously a lot of things wrong here. TTM, no O, no connection there. Tiny little 3, the obviously pronounced middle part, not like the minor bump on the Authentics. You can't really compare the 4. And the Hall of Fame, you can't really do anything with because I don't have an example. Again, TTM. O is a little more pronounced here, but disconnected here. Again, let me just pop back here so you guys can see. Just not even close. Very quick signature, authentically, and this is a very calculated signature. I'm just going to scroll through these because they're just terrible. That one, the S is just totally off. It almost looks like Story rather than Shaq. It floats on through instead of one quick swoop. Same here. And same here. Okay, guys, that's really all the evidence you need. I'm sure the guys will bring up other evidence in what I've shown. But this, okay. So obviously, it's fake, dude. It's secretarial, like 100%. I don't even know why you guys picked Shaq. This is like the most obvious one we've ever done. What are you guys thinking? Henry Winkler would have been like a million times more interesting to do because everybody thinks Henry Winkler's authentic, and it would be interesting because he acted nervous when I brought it up to him. I'm just saying, why do we do Shaq? It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. He probably uses the same guy Hulk Hogan uses down there to sign secretarials. I shouldn't have said that because he may be one we do down the line.
I'm pretty good at it too, so I just made this one.
There you go. You can get a Troy Rutter Shaq autograph. Go ahead and send him an email, and we'll send that out to you.
I can do Carrie Fisher.
It's as real as the ones you're getting TTM, folks. Oh, sorry, Ben. I muted you because it was the background. Let's see. And I can't unmute you. Give me a second. I'm going to throw it to Mike. Mike's got some evidence, and I'll try to get Ben unmuted.
All right. I think people picked Shaq this week because they knew we were going to be running long, so this is going to be a quick segment. But here is a classic TTM. I think everyone has gotten this. I'll show that just in a second. I did do 2 printouts. What I looked at, and I'm going to circle it on the. This is a book. And I circled the O'Neill part. I'm assuming this is O'Neill, but if you see that little curl there, and here's another certified one on, let's see, where is it? There it is. On the O'Neill part, you see a little curl on almost every single TTM. It looks like just a C. There is no tail to the O'Neill part. And I'm talking about this little guy right there. So take that off. If you got basically a C, it is probably secretarial. I mean, there's I don't think I could find any evidence that the TTMs that people have gotten have been submitted to PSA, Beckett. I couldn't find any of them that were certified. I'm part of a couple groups that do nothing but, PSA submissions, and every single one of them has come back fake. Rumor is his dad is signing from the address in Florida here. But I mean, if you look on the TTMs, this little part right here is what I'm talking about. It's a C. There's no curl to it. And I mean, there's other obvious stuff that, you can look at, and Zane, touched on, but it's obvious. But again, we're running long. So
yeah. Let's see. Troy.
I got nothing. I've never
Troy's like, it's legit, guys. You don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I think they're pretty obviously, and it's a shame because you have Dirk Nowitzki, who seems to be actually signing, and then you have Shaq, and people get excited, and you get into that whole thing. Do you tell people or do you let them believe it? And it's like, I'm not going to be that guy, but I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is our opinion. This is what the segment's for.
Yeah.
We do investigation.
But I'd
this
say,
wasn't hard, but like telling people, we're just telling people this is our opinion. We're not telling them.
The sad thing is, like, if you look on Star Tiger, I think he has almost 150 photos listed, and I'd say 90% of them are TGM, and they're listed as authentic. But there is a disclaimer on his listing that says it's probably a secretarial, Autopen, preprint, whatever the standard
Go to the forums. There's a discussion about it, and that's where it sends you. Yeah.
Chase,
in my looking at it, if you see him like actually signing stuff, when he does the S, he starts at the bottom, kind of goes up and over, and then goes the rest. Now, if you look at the TTMs, there's obviously a start and stop where he goes the other way. So they're going the wrong direction. The pin strokes are going the other way. I mean, it's pretty obvious if you look at it, how the ink is laid, which direction you start and then end. Yeah, it's completely different.
It's garbage. You guys are giving us such easy ones now. You got to pick the controversial stuff. Okay, as a host, I'm asking you. This is all based on you guys. We're not going to pick anything that you guys don't pick. But as a host, I'm begging you. Pick the stuff that's interesting, that challenges the narrative of being authentic or fake. That's the stuff that's really going to peeve people off. And because this is obvious, man. I don't know anybody that would disagree with this unless somebody just loves Shaq.
Oh, Ben has his finger up.
I think Ben wants to talk.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to unmute Ben. I think his air conditioner is running. Ben,
better go out and catch it.
I think you can unmute yourself.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so it's also just a common sense thing. One, the guy is in every commercial ever for the General, so it's just like he doesn't have time. He's also a DJ that's actually at music festivals a lot, so it's just he doesn't have time, and he's not in Florida all the damn time. And number three is that on his TTMs, he's switching up numbers. Like he wore 32 for the Magic, and then 34 for the Lakers, and then he switched to 33, I think, for the Cavs, and 36 with the Celtics, and 32 with the Suns. So, I mean, he's not going to take the time to discern. He's a busy guy. He's not going to keep going, okay, this one I'm 34, this one I'm 32, this one I'm 36. Right. Like, it's just he has no time. It's like he's not in Florida all the time. He's traveling for basketball. He's got a DJ gig. He's got business ventures. Like, he doesn't have time to sign TTM.
Yeah, he's also in Carnival Cruise commercials now. So
he's in everything. He's like in every commercial ever, which is cool. I mean, if you can get that money, get that scratch, man. But he ain't signing your TTMs. So just know that. Well, in our opinion.
Send hate mail to Zane at Autographers. So
yeah, that's not an email address. Zane at zanesavage.com.
Oh, there you
go. Okay, so that is conclusive. I thought it'd be a little faster than that. We rambled on. I think we were just complaining about how stupid it was we had to do the Shaq one, but we do what you guys want. We are your autograph slaves. So give us what you want, and we will do it. No, we will. We will on the case against.
Okay.
You can put all the secretarials up there. In some cases, the secretarial stuff is interesting. Shaq was not one of those. So that's it. We're done. We've gone long. This has been an enjoyable podcast. Shaq TTMs are not real. Deal with it, people. Sorry. Our opinion. Maybe you're right in some universe. But just want to remind you guys, go to Fanatic Feedback, autographersanonymous.com, graphersaa.com. Again, takes you to the same place. You can click Fanatic Feedback on the sidebar, and it will take you to a page where you can send us a question for the next show. So if you want to be technically on the show, do that. Thank you to all the people that were live in chat. We really enjoyed the discussion and feedback with you guys. Helps us figure out some stuff sometimes. And I think you guys enjoyed the community. So thank you so much. And Oh, also on the website, we added, like I said, I edited it, made it prettier, and also added some links for some of our YouTube pages. So I think Mike, Chase, and Troy are the active YouTubers right now who make mail day videos. I added links on our main page for those guys. So if you want to subscribe to them, you can either click down below in this video, or if you're listening on audio podcast, go to our website, click the links there. Promotion time, Mike.
Okay, you can go to, obviously the website has them all, but check out autographsforacure.com. That's where I'm doing some website work for Autographs for a Cure. I've been super busy at work, so I haven't updated in a couple weeks, but I'm working on it again, side hobby. But yeah, check it out. YouTube, also been making content on there. So Troy.
Well, you can find me pretty much everywhere with the handle TTM Autograph, including the website, ttmautograph.com. Like the website a lot because I have card sets listed by year, so you can see everything I have, including the 1991 Don Russ set, which I'm at like 306 out of 700 right now. So
help Troy out. Look at that set and see what you got in your set.
I thought you were going to say start signing cards and putting them on eBay. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, I am a sucker for money, so.
So yeah. So why don't we go over to Chase?
Yep, YouTube, Chasing Ink. I now have Instagram. Just started kind of poking around with that, so you can find me there as well. That's about it.
And your link is also down below. All the YouTubers have their links down below, along with Autographs for a Cure and my stuff. Ben,
I have zero things to promote, so go. Much like the Tampa Bay Lightning wins 0 in the playoffs. So
hey man, hey.
But go to Autographs for a Cure, go to Zane's eBay store, and go to these other guys' links. So
cool. So on my end, I want to promote something I don't usually promote. I promoted it a couple times. Identify your autographs on Facebook. If you just type that in Facebook, identify your autographs. I would really appreciate some collectors to be in there to help identify. It gets a lot of different requests every day to help identify stuff. I think it's the biggest solely autograph identification group on Facebook. There's obviously some groups that are just generic autograph groups that have a lot more members that can help you, but this is the biggest specific identification group. So go check that out and like it, and go to the community page and help some people out. These are just normal people who don't really collect. They found an autograph. They don't know who it is. And with our knowledge, we can help them out. It's a goodwill kind of project that I started years ago, and it's grown to a point where I can't do it by myself. I do have some friends that help me with it, but I need some more help. So go check that out. eBay store, Bargain History, buy autographs on eBay. That's my eBay store, Bargain History. Link down below. Fabric Fobs. It's a freaking keychain with celebrity clothing in it. Go buy my stuff. It's on Etsy. Links down below. And that's it. So hope you enjoyed the show. And you take care, all of you autograph addicts.